hope everyone's had a good day today, and it's what happens when I don't listen to you first thing in the morning. I didn't realize it was supposed to rain this afternoon. So they'll teach me. Make sure I'm on the radio at 7:20 in the morning, so I get from 20 to 7:45 from the news and everything. That's a free plug. You can take care of it later on that. I did have a little fun. Welcome this afternoon is Monday, February the 6th. I've actually got 4:31 this afternoon, and today is a regular meeting for the White County Board of Commissioners. We have extra copies of our agenda up front. If you'd like to have a copy, we have one readily available. If you would, please silence your cell phones. And if you would, please rise as we recite the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We have with us this afternoon Pastor Dustin Biggers, Restoration Point. Pastor Biggers, if you would, please bless these proceedings, please.
Lord God, we come to you this afternoon, God. We just thank you for this opportunity. Lord, we thank you, God, for this great nation, God, that we get the opportunity to live in. And God, we pray that you'll bless it. And God, we pray that you'll be with all their elected leaders, Lord. And I pray, God, for our first responders, God, that you would be with all of those officials, God, as well, and protect them, God. And Lord, I pray for this meeting and lift up this meeting this morning, or this afternoon for you. And God, I pray that you'll be with this meeting, God. I pray that your guidance will be upon this meeting. I pray for the men that are here that are on this board, God, for wisdom and guidance that comes from you, God. And so we now place this meeting into your hands, and we love you. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor Biggers. I had hoped at this time I would have been able to do a special recognition of a brand new crowned Super Bowl champ, but unfortunately, those who stayed up last night, we were sorely disappointed last night. Just who all stayed up last night and watched it? Anyway, sorry. Let's move on. I'm still crying over spilt milk on that one. So, okay, moving on our agenda. Item 4: consider adopting the minutes of the January 9th, 2017 work session, the regular meeting, and the January 30th, 2017 work session and call meeting, including executive session minutes. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes? Commissioner Bryant first.
Second.
Commissioner Goodger second. Any discussion? Having none, all in favor of approval signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed say no. Motion carries. Thank you. I just remembered something, but we're moving on. Do not have any recognitions or proclamations at this meeting. Moving on to our consent agenda. For those who are newly attending our meetings, consent agenda, these are items that we discussed at last week's work session, that there was already a strong consensus amongst the board, and essentially we found that we all agreed on it already. We are allowed to combine all these items into one motion, and so that's called the consent agenda. So we have 3 items currently on our consent agenda. They are the following. Item number 5, consider approval of the application of the 2016 Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistance, or JAG grant, in the amount of $359,412 even, for the operation of the Regional Drug Enforcement Office, with White County continuing to serve as the fiscal agent for these grant funds. Item 6, consider the adoption of a resolution for amendment of the White County Code associated with the excise tax levy for wholesalers of distilled spirits in White County. Just to bring back to your recollection, that's an item that some sentences were left out of when it was redone a couple of months ago. And item 7, consider appointment of Ms. Judy Lawson to the White County Department of Family and Children's Services Board for a 5-year term to expire June 30th, 2021. And gentlemen, do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that the consent agenda be approved.
Commissioner Nix first. Do I have a second? Commissioner Goodger second. Any discussion amongst the board on the 3 items? Okay, having none, all in favor of approval signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed say no. All right, motion carries. One thing I do need, as you, Commissioner Holcomb will not be joining us this afternoon. Normally when someone's not able to attend, I always try to let you as the audience know. And I apologize for that at the beginning. I don't have any old business. We've pretty much taken care of everything. With us this evening, we have Mr. Frank Riley with the Chattahoochee Resource Conservation and Development Council to present information to the board about current programs of Elder County.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You've got the floor, Frank.
I'm glad to be here just to update you on what Chattahoochee RC&D has been doing the past year. I'll be brief, I know I have 5 minutes, but the sheet that I gave you with program updates on it, you can read that. But I want to mention a couple of things. The fire deputy community at the top, of which White County is a member of. We started a coalition here in White County a couple of years ago to try to promote wildfire safety to our citizens. We have got, it's going good. We really got one going good. Towns County was the pilot program. We started 2012. And since 2012, we've had 6 fires in the whole county, wildfires. I think it's commendable to our people. The other counties next to us have had about 4 times that many, but it's just education. You can see on the list there, we go down through the soil grant, soil health and RCS grant. You can read all that. Some field days we're going to have coming up this year with that grant, which will include people from this county. And come on down to the seasonal high tunnel, which I'll mention right here in a minute. We've donated one to all 13 counties, and White County will be number 12. We've got 10 in now. As soon as Brad locates the gas line out there, we'll dig the hole. So the first we do, we hit two pipes out of 10 holes. That's pretty good odds. I should have gone and bought a lottery ticket that day. So we want to make sure we know where that gas line is. It'll be right beside the Ag Center right there. Edwin and Brad looked at it, laid it out. And here's a picture. You have a picture of what a high tunnel is. It's basically a greenhouse, a covered garden, side row of tunnel. And it'll be there at no cost to you. We donated it along with the Upper Chat Soil and Water Conservation District. They kicked in some money on that too. So we should do that in the next couple of weeks for the grant. And one thing I wanted to mention back on the fire deputy community, we've done such a good job of developing and widening Towns County. You see the colored picture here. Forest Service asked me last year if we could take the program we developed here and spread it all the way to Virginia through the Appalachians. And I said, yes, give me some money, so they did. So now there's 6 RC&Ds involved, counting us on the bottom end down there, to take what we've learned here and what we learned in Towns County and spread it all the way to Virginia. I'm going to Asheville tomorrow to meet with 4 of them, try to kick it off in North Carolina. So it's commendable what our people have done in Towns and Union and White County to develop this program that the Forest Service recognized it that much. And one last thing, you can read all that. The last page, the half page here, is what Chattahoochee RC&D has done for White County in the past year. We've had the Fire Active Community Citizen Coalition, community meetings, we're developing Firewise communities within the town and the county. We've got advertising money, we've got coalition community Firewise support, and Nathan we are trying to develop a poet scholarship program. If we can find some young people that want to get involved, we've got some money we'll give them towards college, books, or whatever. Not a lot of money, but it's an effort to get started. We had the live evacuation structure fire and wildfire in Sky Lake back in September, so we had a real live call in, and it really, went through the whole process to get everybody trained. But the best thing is number 4 is the 319 Town Testing Project, APD project we had. We started in May. They had it on the books in 2012. They gave it from May to September to finish it. So we did 5 BMP projects for a total of $96,718. We paid the field coordinator $5,400, so a total of $102,000 Chestatee is put into White County. So, and plus with the seasonal high tunnel $3,400, so about $105,000 to $6,000 is what we've given back to the county. So we appreciate the opportunity to be able to do that. So I hope we can continue more, as long as it's not a 319 grant, we'll do it
Yeah.
more.
Frank, I'll give you a second. Kind of share with the group where you guys get all your funding from.
Well, I got
Where you
funding,
get all your funding from.
the funding for the EPD came from the EPD, I mean, 319.
Well, I mean, all the RC&D, all the funding sources that
Well,
come.
the fire deputy comes from the Fire Deputy, National Fire Learning Network Coalition. I've been in it for 4 years. The Firewise comes from the state of Georgia. All this fire money comes from the Forest Service. It starts with the Forest Service. It circles through the Major Conservancy back to us from the Fire Deputy. The Firewise, we're the state coordinator for the Firewise for the whole state, all 159 counties. We contracted with that. That comes from the Forest Service, the Forestry Commission does. And then the Appalachian Fire Adaptive Community came from the Forest Service to Forestry Commission, the North Carolina Forestry Commission, the Virginia Forestry Commission, through those various agencies. I've got the money for one lot, but they couldn't figure out how to give it to us directly. The Forest Service couldn't, so it comes through the state. So that's how we get the money. And the RCS grant, on the long page, stands collected from USDA and RCS. It's a $300,000 per year grant that we're using it for small farm, small landowner education.
Well, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
You got anything?
Frank's doing a great job. We're, RC&D is back strong and working good now in all counties. Excuse me, it's been our, as Vice President of the Executive Board for the 13 county RC&D, it's been our priority to make sure that Frank goes around to all the counties that are in this district and let them know what kind of money's being spent in those counties. The dues that we pay, which I don't even know how much dues we pay, is about $500 a year for the county to be a member of that. So we're certainly reaping what it's costing us, and it's coming back and helping this community, and we're proud. The Firewise thing, you know, I kind of thought that was a joke to start with. Frank I just kind of brushed Frank off a little bit. But this Firewise community is for real folks. I mean, they are working hard out there and helping these communities realize how dangerous some of these subdivisions are that lay like one of our prime examples, Skylake, laid in a perfect place for a major forest fire to get in there and do a lot of damage like we saw up in North Carolina. So they're doing a great job showing people how to clean up around the house, fix it, make it a little safer where you can kind of control. If fire does get out, maybe you can save something.
Well, the biggest problem with Skylake, you have a fire, you can't get out of there. If
No.
everybody trying to get in with a fire truck, it's just a maze of roads, you know.
Once the roads get blocked, then nobody can
This is
get
the
out.
education, evacuation process.
And it's a great education too. So we're proud of what's going on with RC&D Council.
Well, Frank, thank you, and especially after last year, you know, with the fires in Gatlinburg, what have you, and what happened in Union, and over towards that way, and even got up here to Richard Russell a little bit.
Right.
And our cage got
Well, in
rattled.
town, I have to say this, we had one fire during all the drought, because our people were paying attention.
Thank
That
you.
fire in town, one hour of Ravens fire, just came in the
Correct.
county and left.
Get back to work. Thank you very much, appreciate it. All right, moving on to item 9, consider adoption of resolution approving amendment to the fiscal year 2017 budget for personnel expenses. These are items related to partial year for 2016-17 year that we had discussed earlier. The total of $5,900 in this amendment to this year's budget. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Commissioner Nix first. Commissioner Bryant second. Any discussion? Having none, all in favor of approval, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Thank you. Item 10, Mr. Kevin Hamby, our Hamby Management, manages our SPLOS program with us. Unfortunately, due to a scheduling conflict, is unable to be here with us, and we will pick up that report at our next regular meeting. Moving on to item 11. Ms. Vicki May, as Finance Director, present our monthly financial status report. Ms. Vicki?
Thank you, gentlemen. Tonight's report is on the month of December, December being equivalent to 50% of our year now behind us. The revenues in the month of December were $1,190,447. The expenditures were $1,533,585. This is bringing our year-to-date revenues to $11,494,199, which is equivalent to 71% of what we had budgeted. And the year-to-date expenditures total $7,357,964, which is about 46% of our budget. And of these general fund revenues, part of it is the alcohol-related taxes. The column on the right is for the fiscal year 2017 we're in now. The total at the bottom brings us to $73,178, which is equivalent to 64% of what we had budgeted, being the $114,800. The other columns are for the last 4 years, and you can see in comparison how the months were going from month to month. Also, part of that general fund revenue is the TABIT, title ad valorem tax, that went into effect back in 2013. So far this year, this first 6 months, we've collected $384,541, which is equivalent to the 52% of what we budgeted for $750,000. The next slide here is a graph slide for the last 3 or 4 years here, indicating the title ad valorem tax and the motor vehicle tax. The title ad valorem tax actually has pretty much replaced the motor vehicle tax. There will continue to be some things that still have the motor vehicle tax, but you can see with the 6-month history here, our motor vehicle tax totals $131,157. The TABIT again is $384,541. You can see with each year how the shorter graph for each year that is the title ad valorem, that is the motor vehicle tax, which is declining with each year.
For those in the audience, we talk about it every month, but the state of Georgia a couple of years ago changed state law. When you go buy a new car, you pay a title ad valorem tax, TABIT, and that replaced your birthday tax, if that makes any sense. That's a simple story. So we're seeing more cars convert to the new tax. The old, there's not many cars that are staying on the old tax. If you got old antique cars, what have you, that should stay on the motor vehicle tax. But they're trying to switch everything over to TABIT over who knows how long.
On this slide here, this is a comparison for this year compared to last year for the loss, SPLOS, and the TABIT. And you can see here with 20 on the loss columns, 2017, the total we've received so far is $1,271,172, which is slightly more than half of what we've received the year previously. The gray columns is the county's portion that the county retains of SPLOS. For the 6-month period this year, we've received the $1,573,281, and that again is slightly more than half of what we received all of last year. And the same with the TABIT tax, the 6 months totaling $384,541 is slightly under what we received last year for 2016. On the next slide here, we have the local option sales tax for the last 3 years and this current year. The 6 months so far this year, we've collected $1,271,172. That's equivalent to 58% of what we budgeted for this year. And if it continues, it should be the highest we received this year over these other 3 years. The next slide is on hotel motel revenues. For the 6-month period this year, we've received $493,751. That's equal to about 73% of our budgeted amount. of $676, $675. Again, you can see where each year is slightly increased over the previous. The next slide is on our SPLOST receipts, our updates. The SPLOST is a 72-month period, or 6-year SPLOST. It started in December 2014. December is the 25th month of this 72 months. The receipts for December, our ACH receipt for December was $329,303. Each of the cities received $42,381, and the county retained a portion of $244,541. The totals today, receipts are $7,816,310. The total of $2,011,918 has been distributed to the cities, and the county has retained $5,559,853. This following slide here is a running total that we keep for each month on all the revenues coming in. Again, the X on the right-hand side indicates the last month we will be receiving this SPLOST, which will be November of 2020. And again, the year-to-date totals are $7,816,310. On the next slide is a recap from our SPLOST money received in November. The total amount received was $369,749, and the county retains an admin fee of $3,697. The balance, $366,052. $47,587 went to each of the cities. The county retained $270,878. $100,000 of that being set aside to pay earmarked debt service funds. Setting that aside, the county puts in the SPLOST projects for funding on projects, roads and such other, $170,878 this year. This is for the month of November. On the next slide here, the December SPLOST, we have received slightly less, $329,303. After the admin fee, the county retains and the city distributions of $42,381 each. The county is retaining the admin fee of the $241,248, setting aside the $100,000 for earmarked funds. The project fund received $141,248. On this last slide here is a recap of the separate funds we have: solid waste, 911, drug task force, and the ANOTA circuit. The only two that receive any contribution from the county is the 911 fund and the ANOTA circuit. The column to the far right indicates their percentage of expenditures so far through December. For solid waste, their percentage is 38%. 911's spent percentage is 46%. Drug task force, 45%. And the ANOTA circuit, 44%. They're all running below the 50% for this time of year. That concludes the presentation. If you have any questions.
All right, gentlemen, do you have any comments or questions for Ms. Vicki? All right, have none? All right, Ms. Vicki, thank you very much. I appreciate it. All right, moving on to back to our agenda. Just a moment here. Got too many papers up here. Mr. Melton, under County Manager comments, do you have anything that you would like to address?
Mr. Chairman, I have two items. First, I just wanted to notify the board that the road work on Adair Mill has been completed, where we had to put a new pipe in, and it If you drive out that way, you will see that we have not repaved that yet. It is gravel for that section of road where we had to replace the pipe, but we want to let that compact for a little while. And obviously the weather is going to dictate when we can pave. We'll be paving as soon as we get some warm weather and get some asphalt. But it's going to be a couple of weeks, so we're probably going to let that rock settle. We want to make sure everything settles good before we actually pave.
Well, if you'll do this, share with that, I know on behalf of the board, if you'll share with the road department, Dave and all the guys, that we appreciate their hard work. How many days did they have that culvert dug out?
They did that in 2 days, basically. It was closed for 3, but they had all the work done in about 2 days. They had a little cleanup work to do the 3rd day, and we left it closed until they got everything completely done, and we opened it back up. But they essentially did all the work within 2 days.
I appreciate their hard work. Thank you. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
The second item, Mr. Chairman, I gave you a letter, gave all the board members a letter from Allied World. As you're aware, we've completed the work in Freedom Park, moving the monuments and so forth. And we have one last payment to pay the general contractor in the amount of $10,934.92. But since we've had some issues with payment to subcontractors, we have talked to the surety company, and they are willing, surety company is willing to accept our payment to them, and then they will pay the subs, and they will make good. We have a guarantee of surety. They will make good on all the payments to the subcontractors. Myself and the county attorney spoke to them this afternoon on a conference call, and we feel comfortable that the surety company will make good on these payments to the subcontractors. And it would be my recommendation to the board to go ahead and pay the surety company with the approval of the board. And the county attorney is going to draft a letter as well to the surety company, as well as we should be receiving a letter from the contractor directing the payment to the surety company.
Gentlemen, given the situation we're dealing with here, the amount of money of $10,934.92, I thought it was best and wise that we as a board discuss this before any action was taken. A concern earlier was, and just to be quite frank, in no shape, form, or fashion did we need as a county be cutting a check directly to the contractor, given the history that Mr. Melton was referring to. Mr. Melton, your conversation with Mr. House, and you alluded to this, this gives us a little more, I don't know, strengthens our position by writing a check directly to the surety company.
Yes, sir. I think it pretty well guarantees that subs will be paid from the surety company. We have a letter to that effect, guaranteeing payment to the subcontractors.
The full amount, the $19,679.50 is still outstanding for all of them?
That's correct.
Anything short on the funds we send will come either out of their pocket or in particular from the bond itself.
It will come from the bonds.
All right. Gentlemen, I don't want to prolong it, but I'll ask, what's the pleasure of the board in authorizing Mr. Mountain to move forward on cutting a final check to the surety company in the amount of $10,934.92, and that company's name is Allied World.
Mr. Chairman, I would make a motion that we pay Allied World Insurance Company the $10,934.92 so that they can close this project out.
Okay, I got a motion by Commissioner Goodger. I have a second.
Second.
Commissioner Nix. We're now in discussion. Any other discussion with the board regarding this matter? Okay, having none. Gentlemen, got a first and second. All in favor of approval of the motion is provided by Commissioner Goodger, seconded by Commissioner Nix. Signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed say no. Motion carries. Mr. Melton, you have your charge. Please move forward. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. All right, moving on our agenda, under public participation. If anyone has anything they'd like to make any comments on regarding anything, if you would, please state your name and your address for record, and I will get to you as quickly as I can. Does anybody have anything they want to discuss or talk about? I'll start from my left, your right, so. All right. Okay, I'm not going to sit here and prolong the meeting for the sake of prolonging it. We'll, looking ahead on our upcoming announcements, county offices will be closed Monday, February 20th, in observance of President's Day. We have a couple of scheduled upcoming meetings, those being Monday, February 27th. It's a work session. It'll be at 4:30 at this location. Monday, March 6th at 4:30 p.m. We'll have also a scheduled regular meeting here at this location. Just a side note, I know in the coming weeks we have several events scheduled with the ACCG, with the Association of County Commissioners Georgia. We've got we'll always call it the Capital Connection Conferences, but they have now divided that up into district days. Is that what the term they're using nowadays?
Yeah.
I know one or two, perhaps others, will be attending those sessions, but those schedules have not been set yet for us, those who will be attending. Gentlemen, Commissioner Good, do you have anything?
I just was wondering what if Mike just gives the board a status on what John is doing for Park and Rec.
I have he came by Friday and gave me some conceptual drawings, but he is supposed to have 3 different design scenarios this week and cost estimates this week. But I do have the one conceptual drawing. If you want to come by my office and take a look at it, I'd be glad to share that with you.
Did he and Kevin ever get together? Kevin Hamlin, did they get sat down and discuss some stuff last week sometime?
I know they have had some discussions, Commissioner, but I don't know exactly what those are.
To kind of piggyback, Mr. Goodger, what you're saying, I expect in the coming weeks to have some additional meetings regarding, and for those in the audience, what we're talking about is our future Park and Rec expansion out at Yona Preserve is what we're discussing. So it's a project that we as a board are excited about, looking forward to it, and hopefully this year be able to break ground on some new ball fields and new complex. Exciting time, and it's been a long time coming, so I'm excited. Commissioner Bryant, anything else? You have anything? Commissioner Nix?
No, sir. Motion to adjourn.
All right. Commissioner Nix first, Commissioner Bryant second. All in favor of going home? All say aye. Aye. Folks, have a good evening, a great week. Bye-bye.